Hi, welcome to Alpha Book Club. My name's Maude Garrett. Sorry I missed you guys last week, but I'm back again this week. Amsterdam was Amsterdam fine. Whoa. Joining me this week, as always, Editor-in-Chief Rachel Heine, who, like me, got out of the trash compactor just in the nick of time. Thanks to R2, who wrote this. That's so cool. That's cheeky. R2D2. Also joining me, Geek and Sundry, is Hector Navarro. Hector, who would you play in Star Wars if you had the chance to play a character?
Oh my God, I would love to play what's his name from Rogue One, Riz Ahmed's character.
Oh, Bodhi, the pilot. He's the pilot.
You could be his brother in a second.
I'd love to be a Bodhi, or like a card player who gets shot.
Oh, that's
fun.
Very
nice. Pazak?
specific.
Is it Pazak?
Sabak.
Sabak.
Yeah,
that's it.
I'm never going to get that.
I don't know. Or an alien would be cool, but...
Yeah, and no one would know.
Steven knows.
No, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Camera cuts to Steven.
You've noticed as well that we've got an amazing special guest this week. You may know her from, she's done a bunch of things. She writes for Nerdist, StarWars.com. She knows more about Star Wars than Thrawn does.
I think that's an overstatement.
Thrawn's not real, I just have to remember that. Comparing you against a fictional character, but please welcome Star Wars expert Amy Radcliffe.
Yay! Thank you all so much for, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. You would know more than Thrawn, because Thrawn only knows as much as is in front of his life. And you know more about Star Wars because you've seen...
He doesn't know all of Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know about
You're
the Old
like
Republic
God.
and stuff. You know about all that stuff.
Some of it.
And your nails match your drink.
I did that. I knew
It's
ahead of
so
time.
lovely.
I paint my nails to match my wine.
Ooh.
That's a business somebody should do,
that
actually.
Oh my gosh, you put it in?
Like a
nails
subscription
in?
service?
Oh,
Oh,
my
that's
God. I'm
better.
getting a little bit ahead of myself.
That's sciencey.
So usually when I talk Star Wars with someone, I like to ask these 5 questions, and we've already gone over one of them, but we'll get it through nice and quickly here. What is your favorite movie?
The Empire Strikes Back.
Favorite character?
Ahsoka Tano.
Favorite quote that you find yourself dropping all the time?
Your focus determines your reality.
What is that from?
It's from Qui-Gon and Phantom Menace.
Dang. Qui-Gon's had some good lines in that movie.
He has some...
Qui-Gon is the best.
Yeah,
He's like
he's
one of
underrated.
my favorite characters from the
Highlight from that
Are
film.
you being biased because of your love for Liam Neeson, though? Are they melding together?
It's part of
I
it.
mean, it's certainly part of it. Definitely Ewan McGregor, who I have a long,
Are you being a little-
secret relationship with. Yeah, he's my like #1 forever love. But no, I actually really like elements of Phantom Menace, and a sort of with Qui-Gon and
Maybe it was
Obi-Wan.
Qui-Gon with the wind. So.
I hope one of the questions is,
R.I.P.
who's your Star Wars crush? That's fun.
Ooh, I like that. I've never actually asked that, but there's always time. But I know I want to ask who your favorite non-human character is.
Non-human. Oh, man. Oh, boy. I really like Chopper in Star Wars Rebels. Chopper or K2S. So, like, I love the sassy droid.
Chopper sounds like some
vibe.
bad diarrhea. That's my
That would be he's so uncomfortable.
Oh, you've seen the show. Chopper does sound like
When he's
some
like
bad diarrhea.
Rebels.
Yeah. Chopper's great. Chopper, Star Wars Rebels season 1 finished, and people were like, Chopper's better than R2D2. Like, that's how great that little Chopper
Chopper's
character
He's
is.
just, he's so grumpy. He just, you ask him to do something, he's like, ugh,
Yeah.
I guess. He's not.
Who else was like that though? Oh, the come on guys, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the robot.
Marvin.
Marvin.
Thank
yes.
you.
So that's 3, I think, or
And
4.
what force power would you have?
Oh man, psychometry. I think that one's really cool.
What is psychometry?
Where you touch something and you kind of can tell, like a physical object, you can kind of get memories from who had it last,
Love
like
it.
what was its history. So I think it would be like a cool like CSI.
You could be the star
Jedi
of a
angle.
procedural.
Oh my
in
God,
Wars.
Star
Detective.
Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not a thing yet. Why not?
Here's the thing about the anthology films that I think they should play into more, and I'm hoping that kind of the buzz around an Obi-Wan midquel, is that what you would call
Yeah.
it? But where people have talked about Obi-Wan doing a sort of like
Tatooine?
Western
Yes.
style, like Logan a little bit. Or classic Westerns, but this is a recent example. But I like the idea of taking Star Wars characters and worlds and universes and doing different genres with them.
Yes.
So like
Yes.
doing a like noir detective style story.
Like, in the, like seedy underground of Coruscant,
Yes.
the underworld.
Which
great.
you get a little bit of that. This is like a
Don't sell me
political
justice.
thriller almost.
Absolutely.
But you could
Absolutely.
have like
Go
a,
and rethink your life.
like what about a Star Wars rom-com? Like I would watch the shit out
Do you
of
know
that.
what I pitched, which I really, really want to know all about? I like to know about the academy side of things. All we saw were younglings getting killed. Like, that's all. So I would like to know, you get chosen as an infant, as a baby.
Yeah, you're so young.
so
Yeah.
young. And then, you know, Anakin's 19 and he's still training. And I'm like, well, what is happening
Well,
in
he
these...
started late.
He did. He was, but still like 10 years kind
Yeah.
of thing. That's a
It's a
long
long-
time.
What are you doing every day?
And that's just for the Jedi Academy. But what about the Sith Academy? You saw a little bit of it in
Is
the
there
Old
a Sith
Republic.
Academy? Or do Sith turn at some point? Are they Jedi that are fallen?
Well, there was the Sith Academy in Knights of the Old Republic where you kind of
I know, because it's funny you said Old Republic. I don't know a lot.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
oh,
I don't
so
know. Yeah.
there's
Yes,
this like
Maude?
yeah, cool. There's a Sith Academy, right? And basically you kill everyone in your class and like whoever's left is like
Ooh, battle
Oh
royale.
my God, that
but then you
yes.
also kill your
fitting.
teacher.
That's
like
cool.
This is
yeah.
very like Red
What
Room.
guys? What other
Yeah.
genres could we see in Star Wars, either in a book or in a like a Rogue One style movie? What are the genres? You said rom-com would be great. That would
Yeah.
be fun.
I
But
would love
also
a straight up romance.
Yeah.
romance would be
well,
great.
that's what Lost Stars is
is.
so good with.
I was gonna say
Oh, yeah,
Attack of
that's
the
the
Clones
Romeo
nailed
and
it.
Juliet.
So
Well.
no, you want to go Lost Stars? Okay, Lost Stars.
There's
Better example.
there's a book, and you might know it, and I forgot to look it up last time, but I don't think it's canon anymore, but it's set in between episodes 2 and 3, and it deals with Obi-Wan is training different Padawan, or like he takes some on with him, but it's all about Yoda and Dooku fighting off. But it gets into the academy a little bit, and it focuses on 2 Padawan. There's a boy and a girl, and you know
Cool.
things obviously get tragic because it's a tragic time, and
Yeah.
Star Wars is just a tragic universe, I
true.
think.
It's
But
true.
that one was really good. I don't
Yeah,
think
Tragic
it's
and
canon
mining.
anymore. Yeah,
A lot of mining.
yeah.
so much mining.
A rom-com with the backdrop of wars might be kind of tough to do.
I mean, it could be a dark comedy.
Put the
Yeah.
star.
I loved it.
I like it like
Yeah.
What? I
Yeah.
love a good dark comedy, dark
Yeah.
rom-com.
Like that movie.
That's super me.
Like that movie, The Breakup with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn, which everyone was like, this will be a fun and it was just like really sad to watch
Yeah.
2 people
You
break
know
up.
what's like
Oh,
that,
I
but was
remember,
supposed to
that's
be
right.
funny is This Is 40.
Sure. And it's
Where
just
at
not
the end
funny.
you're like, these people should break up and never speak to each other again, but then they just are like, let's do it for the kids. And
Good
you're
thing
like, this is
40's,
a
like,
tragedy.
so
It's like a
far away
Greek
for all
tragedy.
of us.
Yeah.
I think to your point about genres, it's cool. Like in the animated series, they've like they model so many episodes off. I'm not like I have a terrible memory, so when they talk about like this scene was inspired by The Fugitive or
Sure.
much older films than that, and they kind of adapt those genres and used it to be experimental. So I think it
love
would
that.
be cool to
In Rebels or in Clone Wars?
and more in Clone Wars.
In Clone Wars, they did. They hopped around a lot to different genres, which is fun. So
Oh, that is fun.
There's just so many possibilities. We've had this conversation before. I've said that the story in Harry Potter is stronger than the world building, in
Yes.
my opinion, but
Yes.
they're both excellent. But the story, everything in the world building, to me, serves the story of Harry, right? Whereas to me, the story of Star Wars, specifically Luke, and then like the main episodes, isn't as strong as the world building. The world is so rich, and the story of Luke is still great. But you could tell when George Lucas was changing things along the way, and yeah. But the world building is the best. So there's so much possibility and potential for stories in this world.
Well, that's what they're realizing as well. It's like, cool. So here you've got a whole book. Here's your
Yep.
character that you're centering around. This is your timeline. This is what you can figure it out, and that's why there's new planets all the time. You
Yeah.
know, and you're like, what? Hold on. How did this Jakku come out of nowhere? We'd never heard of it before,
Sure.
and now there's a huge battle on it. It's like, well, timeline.
Timeline, big galaxy, stories
Yeah.
that don't involve just Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Which
So
I'm all about.
there's
But
a
I love
lot
my Skywalkers,
of
but I'm all about that.
potential.
Yeah.
And I think one day it could become fully. That's my quote all the time.
Oh, that's a good one.
When your
You know
fri-
what's funny?
He sounds so smug. When your friends.
Yeah, I'm
ever-
afraid
He's like,
of
he's like,
Is he singing? What are you?
yes, he is.
Is this Tarkin that you're
A
quoting?
musical
No, it's
movie.
Emperor.
It's the Emperor. Oh, that's
Once
right.
your friends, Kyle Hill does a incredible Emperor.
I'm gonna have to
I'm
ask
sure
him.
you can find it on social
I-
media.
I-
Everyone tweet at Psy_file to do his Emperor impression for all of us.
You just
Hashtag
reminded
Alpha
me,
Book Club.
Maude, that I do end up quoting a lot if something's
Yeah.
ready to go, and if people ask me like ready or whatever, I'll end up quoting, "You may fire when ready." I do that all the time.
You do a great Tarkin.
all the time, and I
Yeah.
just imagine the most gaunt cheekbones,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "You may
really
fire
good.
when ready."
Oh, that's
Great.
beautiful.
No, it's bad.
It's a trap is probably
Yeah.
mine.
Oh, that's a good one.
You guys can't see right now, but if you could go into my office, you would see
Akbar.
an insane,
Yeah.
which I have my wonderful. There's too much.
Yeah,
one
bring
of
one in.
them
Bring
will
a little
fall
plushie.
apart.
Bring a cute one.
Instagram.
But
Join Team Alpha's Instagram has your office right now.
oh, that's true. Wait, what?
Your office is being.
No. Oh, I mean, oh yes.
Join Team Alpha's
Yeah.
Instagram has taken over your office.
Hey,
Yeah.
that's fun. One. That's why we got it here.
But yeah, I really hope that they go outside. I didn't think with Rogue One, I was like, gosh, they can't help them. I said this a lot before. I said they can't help themselves. Jyn Erso is totally going to be related to Rey in some way, and I
Sure.
really love that
No.
they didn't do
Yeah.
that. I didn't
Yeah.
want them to, but I thought,
point.
Is that
I
because they
don't
look the
trust
same?
them.
Yes, because they're
Well,
both white British
they
women.
just
yes.
keep
Brunettes.
casting. They
Brunettes.
just
Yes.
keep casting
Always the white brunettes.
White brunettes, yeah.
It's all
Okay.
connected.
Oh, it's
Oh.
so cute.
Oh, thank God. It was almost
That was
tragic.
a Mon Calamari. Oh, that's
What?
Okay.
bad.
That was
Right.
fantastic.
Wait. Oh, wait.
Wait,
Oh, that's cute.
That had echo too.
It's
That
my
was great.
pal.
now I just picture you at your desk in the middle of the day.
Oh yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, a lot. But yeah, I'm really glad that they didn't do that and
Me
that
too.
they are expanding this world, and I'd like to see even more that's not so close to the original timeline.
Yeah.
I'm okay with
even though that
episodes
was cool.
7, 8, and 9. I'm okay with Rey being a Kenobi or a Skywalker. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like for those films, it makes sense.
Exactly.
Like, it's
7,
that
8, 9.
story.
Finish it out.
Yeah.
Finish it out. But for the Han Solo movie and
Donald
then
Gleason's attractive. I'm so sorry, but you were
Oh, he
talking about something
is.
super important. I just think
And he looks very
Yeah.
nice in
You
know
his
what?
crispy uniform and his
like
in
cape.
every other movie, I think he's very attractive. But I think he's really like whiny and weenie in that movie.
I have the opposite effect. I don't I don't really find him. Well,
You're
he's
attracted to
attractive in
power.
Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
I think he's
Bill.
attractive. Yeah, and everything.
he's
else.
About
been Harry,
time.
my Potter. I'm not sure what that means.
I think we all know what it
It's-
means.
we
A clinky
got-
clinky.
yeah.
Okay, clinky clinky.
Hey, anyway, let's what we're doing this week is I believe it was chapters 16 to 24.
23, and then we're stopping at 24. I think. Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm so glad I
Me too.
tucked into very precious flight time where I caught on sleeping. But instead I read chapter 24. Fantastic. Oh, that
I
was
just
down
want to
the hatch.
say you would easily get through 4
What?
bottles
Okay.
in a month.
Drink as well. It's
not a good thing.
I don't know. What this is.
Oh, I feel like it's a lot.
So let's talk about what's previously happened in the book.
Yes,
now,
'cause
Rachel
we
and I
were
weren't here last week,
Yes.
but basically it was 8 to 16, so 8 chapters of good stuff.
We had to throw a rock to find people who liked Star Wars and were reading this book here in these nerdy offices, and we found 2 dudes to
That's
come and
amazing.
talk about it. And it was fantastic. But there was a lot of build in the second section. The first section, a lot of intros.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that a few weeks ago. The second section, which was last week, was a lot of setting up where certain characters are going to be for, I think, some of those relationships to pay off in the third section and beyond.
Totally.
And we talked about that last week. A lot of setup, a lot of build up.
Yep.
With Arinda Price, especially,
Yes.
and with Thrawn and Vanto and where they were being positioned. So
You know I'm
that's
about to say a bad pun.
what's that?
The price is right.
No, that's great.
God, what is wrong with me?
Well, you were on an international flight like hours ago.
I'm so deprived of sleep and sanity. Anyway, what I've actually noticed with Thrawn, I love seeing Thrawn and almost his counterpart, Arinda, because you've got someone who's so great with tactical execution and battle strategy, and then you've got another woman who's just come in and goes, nope, I know how to manipulate
Yes.
people, and I understand the politics, which is something that Thrawn just doesn't get at all. So I'm a big fan of seeing sort of like that yin and yang paying off, seeing Arinda constantly getting thrown back to the bottom rung. She just keeps climbing those ladders. Like, that's tough.
I really like also the comparison between Arinda and Eli, because they both come from sort of outer rim, and they're both whereas
Core
she-
backdrops, yeah.
Yeah.
and she and constantly being sort of underestimated,
Yes.
and whereas she's like, she just keeps going, she just keeps climbing, and even though she's like, she'll throw her friends, her family, everyone under the bus.
She's driving the bus.
Yeah, she's like, she's
Yeah.
Taking
in charge,
control.
and I
And Eli
really,
isn't,
I
yeah.
really like her. And Eli's just
He's
like,
like along for the
I don't
ride.
want to do this. He underestimates himself
caught the wrong bus.
constantly. Yeah,
But I do like how mentioned like Arinda knows the politics. So does Eli, and it gets frustrating. I get frustrated on his behalf when he's constantly telling Thrawn like,
You're
I know
pissing
this is the
people
big
off.
picture you're looking at, but
Yeah.
politics are a thing, and you're making people mad,
People have
and the wrong
egos.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also people, like, something I really like about this book, and it's definitely expanded as it's gone on, is they've definitely dealt, and this was a huge thing in Legends, that the Empire is very xenophobic, and kind of they look down, and like
Yes.
Thrawn is just as clueless about it because he's never had to deal with it before.
We talked a little bit about that last week. Is that Star Wars has this undercurrent, this theme of xenophobia, this theme of racism, this theme of different classes in the world, and it's only kind of hinted at in the films and hasn't really been explored. It's only sort of hinted at in kind of their
Seems
major
to go
stories.
the wrong ways. Like when you're listening to the Trade Federation with a really, really racist voice.
Oh,
And,
Absolutely.
yes.
And that's how
Absolutely.
they're addressing it.
Well, and the Gungans
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
to
Oh,
a degree, for
really
sure.
bad.
Oh, yeah.
Really bad. The way that a lot of alien characters are
Everything in episode 1 is like
yeah,
pretty
I
bad
mean
in that
Watto
regard.
being
Yeah,
like
Watto,
like
yeah.
clear
Oh,
Jewish
yes.
anti-Semitic stereotypes
Yeah.
and everything. And whether or not people pick up on that stuff, it's interesting how the Star Wars universe a lot of times treats alien characters when, for all intents and purposes, those are characters. Chewbacca is a co-pilot, and
They're
he's still
people.
sort of they're
Yeah,
people.
you don't even look at that
Exactly,
part. Yeah.
but there's still this
Wookiee.
this as opposed to other sort of science fictiony or fantasy franchises. Star Trek treats its alien races as different people, but it has problems too. Star Trek in the 60s treated Klingons like they were outsiders and like they had Fu Manchu mustaches and were sort of Asian racist stereotypes. And then Klingons were changed dramatically in the 80s, and even the creator Gene Roddenberry tried to rectify that. And instead of making them an outsider, put a Klingon on the bridge of the show. Do you know what I mean? So like they would try to they would sometimes recognize it and take steps. Every sort of science fiction-y franchise has characters that are humans and then aliens, and they always have
X-Men.
what's that?
X-Men.
X-Men is another huge one
Yeah.
that's baked into the themes of racism and being an outsider and acceptance and tolerance are baked into its DNA, and it's kind of not the case in Star Wars. For me, the DNA of Star Wars is an adventure hero story, and it's a sort of fantasy thing, but there is this undercurrent of like, well, wait, the Empire is mostly humans, mostly males, mostly British, and I think that's on purpose. I think George Lucas and everybody working on the movies were trying to
will
say
get
something.
And,
They're all yes men. They're all yes men, and they're trying to say something about the history of. When you look at old serial films and you look at world history, like he's talking about imperialism, he's talking about European colonialism, he's talking about the power structure of the world and trying to put it in this fantasy thing for kids. But there's a reason that it's all mostly like British men are like the most powerful. So then you get to Thrawn and a character who is an alien. How was he able to rise the ranks and get to a position of Grand Admiral like he did according to the original books, which are no longer canon? How is he able to rise the ranks
to
in
be
an empire?
better than everyone.
He has to be better than everybody.
And
but
that
really
is
interesting.
what
You can't take any chips from
everyone
anyone.
who's not a straight white male, that's sort of the mentality that a lot of people
in the real world, you have
have
to be better than everybody in the room.
And I
That's
feel
a
like
great
some
point.
of this is not accidental, but I think what's happening with the new sort of resurgence of Star Wars when it came under Disney too is that fandom you have sort of the thing as it exists and as it was intended, and then we do this on this show all the time, and then you have the interpretation by fans and by people who
After
are
decades and
consuming
decades.
that,
right.
and they've been very smart and listening to fan reaction, and that just because maybe there wasn't an intent or that message wasn't in there, we still drew from that, and that sort of lack of representation of other characters that you see in the books and the shows in Rogue One is a direct, and the toys and everything and the new animated series that they're doing, all of that is a response
diverse,
to
yeah.
fans saying, we want more of this, and this is something that we read into this
Yes.
story of imperialism, but there's a whole other layer to that. And I think it's really smart that they heard that, because this is a place where, there are millions of Star Wars fans across the world, and, when you tap into only one audience,
One
you're going to
segment.
miss out on all of the interpretations and the fandom and the experience, and of course the merchandise and
Yeah.
but it's
That's
really
a really good
smart,
point.
but it's also kind of helping other franchises and big
big
genre
time.
stories
Like
follow
recognize,
suit.
yes, that
Yeah.
actually matters.
They
and we
can be
actually need-
leaders, yeah.
And especially I feel like companies that are as big as Lucasfilm or Disney, like they have the capability to influence,
Huge.
and it trickles down.
Huge,
So when they
yeah.
make decisions like that represent more people and include more groups.
and make a shit ton of money doing it
Also
too.
that.
Like,
Money
if you're
talks,
not
yeah.
going to do it for pure reasons, which you should, and hopefully that happens, but even on a base level, look how much money all of these movies make, not just because of the IP. You see other big IP that bombs. People want to see this.
I just
the
realized
Fast
too,
franchise,
absolutely, that was a huge thing in Hollywood. But I just realized that this book we're reading, Thrawn, stars a woman and a person of color. The color is blue, but he's a person of color
An
technically.
alien, but yeah.
And he's
yeah,
an alien and
out.
he's an outsider.
And it's their parallel.
And it's a parallel, and it's a story that takes place before A New Hope, and it's after Revenge of the Sith. And we talked about this last week on Alpha Comic Book Club because we reviewed Star Wars from Disney Marvel Volume 1. And that's the comic book that took place right after A New Hope, and it introduced Han Solo's first wife,
Yes.
Sana Solo,
Yes.
who's a black woman. She happens to be a black woman. And we had this discussion, myself and the panelists, and Damien Poitier was bringing up that when you go back and you go to that era of Star Wars, which is those original movies, and you introduce some characters, or something like Rogue One, where you introduce a bunch of brown dudes and a woman as being pretty pivotal to the rebellion, rather, it's pluses and minuses. It's pluses because you're filling in those blanks that we didn't see, right? You're filling them in with a more diverse group of people that are more representative of people on Earth. But it's also the minus of like, yeah, well, those characters weren't in the that like Sana Solo wasn't in A New
Right.
Hope. Those characters weren't in those original movies. All the characters from Rogue One, spoiler alert, died. We're not going to see them again. So it's this interesting give and take. But I feel like the takeaway is that Disney owns an incredibly popular thing, and they recognize those failings. And they're doing, in my opinion, everything that they can and should be doing. And if you're going to go back and do comic books about everyone's favorite characters, Luke, Han, and Leia, you might as well plug them in
use
with
that
new
as an opportunity.
Use that as an opportunity, absolutely. And it's like, no matter what, they're going to be making comics about those characters. They're going to be making a young Han Solo movie. They're going to be going back over and over again to using, that era. In Rogue One, we saw a CG Leia. We saw a Darth Vader again. Like, they're going to keep doing that. You might as well fill it with a bunch of sort of more modern and updated characters and diversity.
And then they could go off on their own. Like, look at Dr. Aphra. She was introduced in the Darth Vader
Yes.
comic and has
She's
now
got her own
was
series
popular
now.
enough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like
She was a fangirl. That was a weird one for me for many reasons. It just didn't really make sense in the Star Wars universe personally.
After being a fangirl, I haven't read any of those Darth Vader comics yet.
So, and I mean, I know this
Yeah.
sounds ridiculous, and I, like as a white woman going, well, I really don't feel like I'm in the Star Wars universe at all. It actually did happen. The lack of blondes was rectified in Leia's comics, where she had a Rogue Squadron pilot
Yvonne,
who was
right.
Yeah.
tall and blonde,
Cool.
and I finally saw myself
Have
in
you
the Star
cosplayed that
Wars
yet?
universe. No, I've got a Rogue Squadron
Okay, cool.
dress.
I have 2 characters I can cosplay as now, which I'm stoked about.
Riz
Poe
Ahmed?
Dameron, Bodhi Rook.
Yeah.
nice, done.
A couple years ago, I would be Mexican Han. I would be Mexican Luke. I would be whatever. But I got 2. You got 1.
Yes.
That's great.
Well, I could technically
Wig.
be
You could be
the
lots of wigs.
Mandalorian. What was her?
Oh, Satine.
Yeah.
What? I have not. I've only seen season 1 of Rebels.
It was not even in
It's
Rebels.
not Rebels.
Clone.
What?
Clone
Oh.
Wars.
Okay, that's fine. I'll watch that. I'll watch that.
Also, what season are we on for Rebels?
We're on 3, 4.
So
Fine, whatever. You
yeah.
can spoil it. We talk about this.
As the
Oh,
person
okay.
who spoils on literally everything
Everything.
every day,
Yeah, fair point. I'll
I
get to
can't
it.
watch everything. Amy, I have a question because we were talking about this before. Do you think we're going to see Mara Jade in the films, or a version of her, or something inspired
Did
by
we
her?
just miss it completely because
Yeah.
they've already jumped
Because
ahead
that's
to-
who I would want to be in the Star Wars universe.
I feel like almost it's interesting though because they brought when I think about like who are they going to pick and cherry pick and bring in from Legends like
Yeah.
I'm like maybe they'll avoid like the super popular
they're
characters
called
because so much
Legends now.
baggage comes along.
Sure. But then
Yeah.
here's Thrawn. Yeah.
So before Thrawn, I would have said no. Like they don't want to even deal with
Yeah.
the many discussions online comparing Book Mara Jade to
Yeah.
whatever incarnation she is now.
yeah.
But now that they've done it with Thrawn, I would
problem
say it'd be more likely in an animated series. And
Yeah.
if we get an animated series like set.
Well, I know that when Rebels ends, they're thinking of doing another
Something else.
animated
What
series,
about-
but I don't know when.
Guys, what about this? I think it was last week. One of our guests, either Bert Jennings or Jesse Gill, mentioned theories for The Last Jedi. Do you want to hear some?
Yes.
Yeah.
Theories are that
boy. Oh.
I think he said that something happens to Ben Solo, and Rey is Luke's daughter, and Rey basically meets Mara Jade. Luke meets Mara Jade, and they have a daughter, Rey. And
Okay.
something happens to Ben Solo, and Ben kills Mara Jade.
Yeah.
And that's when Luke's like, I failed. I'm gonna go be a hermit.
that's the-
I have to
'cause it
drop
has to be
off
something
Rey.
extreme.
I agree.
It has to be
I
something
would
extreme,
I would
which
love that.
which could
So
mean
probably
we could
won't
meet this character or an iteration of this character in flashbacks,
That's what
which
I'm
means
thinking.
that also Disney, Lucasfilm could then further explore that character
And
in an
censor
animated
media.
show,
Because
in a,
it's legitimized.
because it's
canon
because it's
again.
canon.
There was
So-
something else. Maybe y'all can help me out at the chat room. Something recently mentioned the Emperor having a hand. Like, and they referenced, because that's what Mara Jade was. She was known as the Hand of the Emperor. I just can't remember if it was a comic. There's so much Star Wars, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of Star Wars.
So I
That's
don't
great.
remember. If,
Track.
if you know, yell us out, because I don't yell
give
it
her a
out.
hand.
I don't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, well, that introduces that role.
Sure.
And they're very aware of who
So-
had that role in
so
Legends.
it could be Mara Jade influencing Ben Solo to kill
No.
herself or something. Like Mara Jade's evil.
She was,
And then she fell
and then
in
she redeemed
love.
herself.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
and-
love it. With
Yeah.
Luke, who's a
Luke
good
turned
dude.
her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Love brought her
Yeah,
out
it's
from the
real.
dark
Oh,
side.
it's
I gotta
good.
go.
It's like if
So
Maul
good.
got a crush on someone and was like, you know what, maybe I won't kill him.
There's your rom-com. There's your rom-com. Darth Maul with robot legs.
Yeah.
Imagine me and you.
How can he ever find love
Yeah.
when he's like
And then
a
it is a
spy
dark
from the
comedy
West
And he's
because they
pretty,
can, yeah.
pretty
Mm-hmm.
quiet, shy person.
Who is?
Doesn't Maul?
Yeah.
Doesn't talk a lot.
Well, he
it's hard
went a
to
little bit
He's
connect
my
with
like
people when
Star Wars.
you-
That's my Star Wars crush.
It's Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
As long as he
Braveheart.
doesn't smile.
Oh yeah,
After he
that's
smiles,
true.
it's over. But
My Star Wars crush is probably I don't know, Lando. I like Lando.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Lando or Chewie,
Lando
Chewbacca.
is super sexy.
Chewie's got
No,
beautiful eyes.
you know what though? Lando comes
Furs.
with baggage. You've got to get Lobot with the deal.
That's fine.
Yeah, you do.
That's fine.
they
Are
do
we
have
about
pretty
to
much
play?
a duo.
Are we about to play Mary Boink Kill with Star Wars characters? Luke, Han, Leia, do it.
Okay.
Oh, easy.
Fuck Leia.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean like
Yeah.
boink her
Yeah.
or kill her?
Yeah.
No.
Boink
Kill,
Leia.
kill Luke.
Kill Luke, marry Han?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like Han's not gonna
Oh, I
cheat
don't
on
wanna
you
marry
immediately.
Han.
No,
You
you
marry
marry
Luke.
Leia.
I think you marry Han.
Oh
You
wait,
definitely
Han.
boink
Yeah.
Han.
you boink
No,
Han.
you
That's
boink
a
Han.
good
But if
one.
you don't
Marry
marry
Han,
him,
you boink all the time.
Yeah.
If he wants to, that's a two-way street, Mod.
Here's a second
He
follow-up
he wants
question.
to.
And
Everybody has
there's
such
one
different
right.
answers for that.
Indy or Han?
That's Indy
For
for
me,
me.
I'll
Indy for
answer.
me.
I'll answer. Indy's kind of a dick, so I would smooch him a lot.
Han is a piece of
but
shit,
Han,
kind of.
no, Han is
now
a
that Han is
scoundrel with a
married-
heart of gold. But Indy is kind of sexist, and I would smooch him till the cows come home. And he's
Kind
a
of. That's not
professor,
true.
He's a
Indy too,
professor.
with the glasses.
Indy's-
Oh,
Indy's
Done.
exactly.
Yeah.
He loves Marion
Yeah.
Ravenwood. She's the ultimate feminist icon. She's great.
I know.
He
I'd still
didn't
smooch
stay with Willie Scott.
oh
He knew
God.
Willie Scott was problematic. He's like, I gotta get out of this relationship.
You would never she would just be screaming all the
Thank you.
time.
Indy's more progressive than you
Dear
think.
God.
Okay, in the chat, let's see what everyone's saying.
Lobot, more like
Frogs
Nobot.
Hunt says Mary Lando. Okay. Oh man, there's a whole
Max
story
Rebo
going on
like
here.
Pit
That
Jabba.
went
Oh, yeah.
wrong. That went wrong.
MFK, Max Rebo, Starling Pit Jabba.
Curse the
I mean,
cosmos.
good luck to anyone that could fuck a Sarlacc.
Yeah, I
kid.
know.
Talk about throwing a
it
hot dog
already
on a
looks-
mine shaft. Am I right?
I mean, but look at the Sarlacc pic. It already,
Before
it
the show
already
started-
looks like
Like a
vagina.
butthole. Or like a
Before
vagina,
the
yeah.
show started, Amy was like, "Can we curse on the show?" We're like, "It's fine, whatever."
The Sarlacc pit has got
You would
vagina
kill
dentata.
Jabba.
You can't
You
do
know it's
that.
possible.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Yeah.
chokehouse.
Yabba.
Yeah.
You gotta kill Yabba. Yabba.
So I guess we're having it with Max Rebo.
I'm
But
still
does he have like I forget?
Do you
who
marry a
did-
Sarlacc pit because your relationship will last for 10 years?
God. I was just. And you can. Oh, this is tangent, but there's this old Legends like
Please.
story
That's
that's
where we're at
about.
right now. Amy.
Yeah.
Let's hear
About,
it.
I don't remember what it's called. It's called something weird. It's in like Tales of Jabba's Palace, I think, and it's about Boba Fett falling in and how he can communicate with the past people who have been digested from the Sarlacc, and like the first person who was digested like absorbed himself or herself
The spirits in the
into
Sarlacc pit.
yeah, and they can talk. So it
That's
really would be like a
weird.
weird like
I'm-
be
10,000
together
years
forever.
talking to people.
I'm visualizing it as the helping hands in Labyrinth a little
Oh,
bit.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but down. I mean, not.
I'm still thrown on
That's
my
not that gross.
on my Mary Boink kill for Luke, Han, and Leia. I still can't decide. I
Okay.
gotta go marry Leia.
That's sweet.
And then I gotta kill Luke, and then I gotta boink Han.
Oh yeah, I don't want to kill Leia.
Poor
That's
you.
right.
Oh,
What's that?
poor you. You sounded so defeated. Oh, I'm going to kill
Yeah.
Luke. Oh, I've got to have sex with Han.
Yeah, Han, who's gonna be a great Leia, and that's it. Just one
That's
night.
all I really would want out of it.
And I'm
That's
killing
what
Luke
you're devastated
Skywalker
about.
for that? I'm devastated. Yeah.
You get to marry
I
Leia,
do get to marry
and
Princess Leia.
She's not only in politics, but she's royalty as well. So like,
Well, is she? Her
Yeah, that
planet
seems
exploded.
complicated.
Is she still a princess? Are you still a princess if Alderaan's no longer a thing?
Oh, that just seems mean to take
That's
it away.
baggage.
I mean,
That's
doesn't
emotional
it just seem like kicking her
She's
in
a
the
general.
She's a general.
every time you're like,
But she'll always be a
She doesn't need
princess
to be
to me.
queen. Oh.
oh, that's cute. That's why you're marrying her.
I would marry her.
So
She's the
back
best.
to the book. Back to the book. Let's talk about the power play that's happening and how they're punishing Thrawn for his determination. They're taking it out on his ensign, Eli,
Yeah.
by not promoting him and causing a rift between the two. And there's a beautiful part in the chapters that we're looking at, 16 to 24, where Arinda was kind of using that, telling Thrawn, no, your ensign has not been promoted. Have you ever thought about why?
Sure.
Like, you not figuring this out? He's getting punished, and he wants this badly. And I think there was another part where remember the TIE fighter that was originally in the academy who
Gim.
they had the biff?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gim
Yeah, that guy.
gave
That
it.
Jerk
piece of
face.
shit. That guy that was a great scene.
Yes.
That was a great scene where he was talking down to Ensign Vanto and
And
being like,
then-
"You don't recognize me?" He was like,
Remember, somebody
no.
pulled some strings for me and got me
"Yeah,
into the academy.
my
Cool.
dad probably hooked me up with a job. So
wearing boat
nice
shoes.
try,
Yeah. On
Thrawn.
his shoulders. isn't
Yeah,
he?
nice try, Thrawn. Like,
What are boat shoes? I've always wanted to know, and I have no idea.
They're they're almost like loafers.
Yes.
Yeah.
With like
They're
the
shoes that
cord
They
rich-
look like
around it.
loafers.
This
yeah.
explains a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
rich
It's
white people
the-
wearing boats.
You know,
Got
like
it.
Yeah.
the
Got it.
preppy boy who's wearing his
Yes.
polo
Sweater, like
Ralph
maybe
Lauren.
over
Yes.
the.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's wearing shorts and then boat shoes.
Yeah.
Daddy's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Glad we got that
Absolutely.
solved.
I really like too. There are a couple instances where you see people talk down to both Eli and Aridna, and immediately, and like they were being sort of drawn into those people and thinking like, because they are coming from a place where they're like, I have to do what I can to get this job, whereas Eli's sort of holding back and Aridna's going for it. But you see everyone make this crucial mistake of talking down to them, and then they're like, you know what? Fuck you.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm
And-
writing your name down.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I really enjoy. I like that they're all underdogs and they're dealing with it in different ways, because there is no real right answer, right? There's no like trip to the top that you can
Sure.
take when you are disenfranchised in some way. And so I like that, some people accept the reality and go along with it and will do anything they can. Other people kind of just follow the tide. Other people don't participate in it at all. And I like that we get those three perspectives of this, of the different routes you can take in this political, like, deep underbelly. And when we're in Coruscant and Aridna like falls down in the lift,
Yeah.
Oh right.
and we don't even see half of that all the time, and they talk about the levels there,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's like a seedy underbelly, like Godfather movie in Star Wars that we've got to see, right? Like,
Starring
Yes.
Jabba.
Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt.
Yes. And it's interesting to me to see how, Arinda, she is not in the military, she's in politics, but to kind of see how Eli lets himself be constrained because of like, this is the Empire. These are the rules.
Sure.
These are the ranks you have to rise through. Like, and
you
I'm
don't
not
like
going to
it, you
push
suck
back.
it up.
And
It's frustrating.
it's frustrating.
It's frustrating
It's
because
super
I want
frustrating.
Eli to. I feel like he's way better than he thinks. He's super smart. He can look at a data pad, and this is a data pad that I don't know how long Thrawn's been able to look over it, but Thrawn always has that scenario where he's like, "Here, take a look at this," and then Eli gets it in like 2 seconds, and Thrawn's like, "Yes, exactly," and I'm like, "Thrawn, how long
He
did
just
you look at
could've-
this?" Thrawn could have taken 4 hours and been like, "I see a pattern here." He gives it to Eli. Eli's so good with numbers, but like you're saying, Amy, he has these limitations because he's sort of a realist and he knows how the world works and he knows how the Empire works.
He can't make demands like that.
No,
he's not in a position
you would
to
just
make
be-
demands. Yeah, you don't.
But Thrawn will ask those questions, but Eli won't, because Eli has this attitude of like, that's just the way it is. And he's kind of right, but he's wrong, because it's frustrating reading the book because Thrawn is able to accomplish so much because he kind of believes in his own abilities and Eli doesn't. And I just want him to have that confidence because he could have easily been doing that stuff if he wanted.
Well, I think it's beautiful in this is always you get Thrawn's commentary on what his observing.
Yes.
And,
I love that. It puts you in his head so well.
And you do get a new perspective on things. It's like, how observant am I as a person
He's
when
a
I'm
total Sherlock.
looking at people when I'm having a conversation?
Very
How much can I
Sherlockian.
get in their head by what they're expressing on their face? But you know, there's times within it where he will comment on Eli's progression as his skills really take on a whole new level, and he's just, you know, he's almost like a proud father in a way, where he's just like, wow, you know, in the last few months he's really excelling, he's picking things up and he's seeing the patterns all of a sudden, but he's not communicating that with him. So Eli, you know, is always undervalued in a way, even though Thrawn's like, wow, you know, he's doing really well, I'm really impressed with this. And like, there's a scene in here, I don't know if it's the chapter ahead, but the scene where Eli goes basically undercover as a smuggler. And I'm just like, I don't know about you guys, I was so proud of our boy.
Yeah.
Like,
Look
he
at you,
got
like,
bare-
stepping up.
Yeah.
Like, you're getting out of
bare
your comfort
minimum
zone.
details about what he had to do. It's like, right,
Yeah.
you're a smuggler, this is your name, buy or sell, I don't
Sure.
care, but this is the main goal, you've got to get there. And it was this improv that he just really took a whole new persona.
Yeah.
And he's like, I've got to be confident, I have to be confident or I will die. And so he's like, I'm really hungry, I hope food's here. Yeah.
And he wouldn't have been able to do that, you know, even just like a few chapters
You're right.
ago. I know they're jumping through time.
You're right.
There was a line I thought about when we were talking about how arrogant Thrawn is. I think it's like a little, like in the middle of the reading, where he is so just sure of himself that he says, you know, because Eli's like, why are you so, like, why do you want to move up the ranks? Like, what's your motive? And he's like, some problems, or he's talking about problems, and he's like, some cannot be solved by anyone except me. It's like, that is a very particular line of thought, sir.
But it's,
I don't know that
But
he's
it's
wrong.
true. I know. But it's
You
like,
know?
the Empire doesn't look at things. They don't care
Yeah.
about art. Like, they're so
Yeah.
dismissive of stuff he studies that
Yeah.
he uses to pull off, and nobody else like pulls off batshit crazy plans like he does.
And he's not just one step ahead, he's like 9 steps ahead, because he's predicted this entire gameplay like out to the point where he's like making kind of plans weeks prior that all of a sudden come to fruition. And you see Eli being like, oh my God, that wasn't an accident when you wanted to do this particular thing, or when you got this ship out of all the other ships. You could have had the Lambda, but you had this particular one. It's like, and then it falls into place. You can just see how premeditative he is.
And that he's studying the different types of droids and the old tech, and that comes into play. And I feel like he's tracking patterns, and I definitely know I mean, obviously this is an extreme version, but I know a couple of people who, and I'm definitely not one of them, that like tracks patterns. I function on a deeply emotional level, so not the same, but I know people like that where I try to learn from them how they view the world and I think there's a danger to it as well, because you see sort of using people for different ends, and I think that that's a very obviously slippery slope that leads you to being the Emperor's right hand man, bad guy.
Yeah.
But I think that there is that's a smart move to observe the people that you're working with and think about things in that way, and plan for every outcome, because ultimately you do have to take care of yourself over anyone else, and people aren't generally going to do you any favors. And I think that I really like Thrawn and, is it Arinda?
Arinda, yeah.
Has it been influencing your way of thinking at all? Is reading Thrawn and being inside Thrawn's head?
I generally I like to pick up on what other people are putting down, as they say. I try to that to me, I really connected with, of like figuring out the vibe of the room and who you're dealing with and how they think. I like to ask people, he posted about this, I like to ask people what their Myers-Briggs is, because it's not just, you know, how you behave, but it's also how you view yourself, because you're answering those questions. So you learn how people think. And I asked a bunch of people at work that sit in our space what they were, and when I did, I was like, okay, because it shows how people digest information and how they react to things,
How they take criticism.
and it helps
Steven has
you
this
work
look on
with
his face
people.
like, oh fuck, I told her what mine was. What's gonna happen?
So
Oh
that you
no.
learn how to talk to people in a way where they don't get, you know, frustrated or upset, because
Sure.
everyone has different things. But I think it's so Timothy Zahn really taps into different types of people and how they deal with problems in a way that's the interesting thing to me in this, is less like, although I do like the mystery of like, and I'm a little, and I think I think the last chapter that we read ahead is like a really big chapter, so I don't want to give 24 is a big one, so I don't want to give anything away. But there's this mystery happening that I really like.
That's one.
Of what's happening. Obviously, they're
I have a theory. It's
building-
Thrawn. That's my theory.
Thrawn is
It's Snoke,
Yep.
guys.
Oh my God! What if they did that? That would be really funny.
Really
this
funny.
is where
actually,
he comes
yeah.
from.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you guys think? I mean, obviously, I think they're building the Death Star with everything.
Oh,
they're
that's 100%.
stealing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's happening.
Very cool.
Like,
Yeah.
I knew
I read
Dawn.
Catalyst.
I had
That's
to read
happening.
that whole damn fucking book, and it was like the worst opening canon book ever. I gave that.
Oh, that was like the first one.
It
That's
was the
right.
first one, and it was all about mining.
Wasn't the first
Oh
one
yeah, you
Aftermath?
were talking about.
No.
that.
A New Dawn was the first
A
one?
New Dawn. This was like the leading into Rebels when Rebels only just started as a
Gotcha.
show.
Cool.
God, it was boring.
There's so much mining.
There's
There
a
was
lot
so
of
much.
money.
I
And
was
there's a
like,
lot of
wait,
spice.
so it's all about
Thrawn,
money?
I wonder what
Yeah.
happens here. Mining company. Are
Mining.
you kidding? Oh my God! In the first chapter, we are mining. It's like a new mineral.
What else do you do? Come on, guys. After the other occupation.
But I also do like this thing, and I know that a lot of these movies and big franchises are going, oh, we've just wiped out and flattened half a city in this battle.
Sure.
There's a consequence. Now we see they've built not one but 2 Death Stars that's the size of a fucking moon. It's like there are some resources that've got to go into this.
Yeah.
And they did it under the radar as well.
You got to read Catalyst. You got to read
Yes.
it. It is. It's really, really. Again, it's just spending time with Mads Mikkelsen and Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah.
Yes, and just
Bendy
showing
Mendy
how
and Mads. Bendy Mendy
you're
and
like,
Mads.
oh, like that's
Yeah.
how they did it.
It's
like
really
I
cool.
didn't think
Immeasurable
they
power
could.
didn't
really cool.
make the final cut.
It's in the book.
So
it's in the book.
good.
Oh,
A lot of
book?
things
Krennic.
didn't make the
Maybe.
final cut.
Krennic is great. Orson Krennic's great.
fantastic.
I had
Fuck,
a. I
marry,
had a.
kill.
Okay. Who we talking?
Wait,
Krennic?
Orson Krennic, Galen Erso,
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
Cassian Andor.
That's
Whoa.
That's not.
I would go
fair.
Cassian
Oh.
and or all of them. Ah!
That's the only answer.
I would kill Bendy Mendy
No.
only because I want to marry Cassian Andor, and I would want to bone Mads Mikkelsen. He's got to be a weird lay, a weird good lay. Think about that. He'll fucking cook you dinner, and then
Oh, you're Hannibaling it up now.
I mean, but
Oh, yeah.
look, every.
He's like cooked your dinner and you look down and you realize your legs are
Yeah.
like for dinner.
Is
He's
it-
like completely
Is
decapitated.
it wrong? I want to go to one of those dinner parties.
Good Lord, yes. Fuck, what? No.
wait,
God
what?
damn.
There are dinner.
They look Hannibal. I
Oh, they
want to
make
go to
Hannibal
a
dinner
Hannibal.
parties in
Oh,
real
like
life?
just like a
No, like
themed,
in-
with the,
no.
in the show. Oh,
Oh.
you want to eat people?
Wait, what?
No, I want to go.
No.
I want to go to
Nope.
the party.
What
I'd
are these
probably try
parties? I
human
don't.
once.
We'll talk about this later. I'm
Didn't they? Don't they
curious.
have a food blog
Fuck
about?
is wrong with you?
Guys,
There's a
I
food
think
blog.
there's
she
a
does
food.
it for
Yeah,
American Gods.
There's
Yeah.
a food blog about.
Same.
I think it was either if it's the person you're talking about. I don't know if I'm thinking of the same person, but there was somebody whose job it was to create
Yeah, it's Janice.
edible food for the show Hannibal that
Yes.
that was
Yes,
supposed to be
Janice
body
Poon.
parts. But
Yeah, she
Janice
did all the food,
created,
yeah.
but it's all edible. It's
That's
actually edible,
what
but
I
it looks
wanna
like
eat.
brains and shit.
I don't want to
and
eat real
you can put
people, but I
recipes
want to
in.
go. It looks.
Yeah.
It's so good that it looks
The meals
delicious.
are beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen the cookbook and I'm like,
I
wow,
don't
that's
actually want to eat people.
Well, that was a fine line you were
that
treading.
was I was a little
There's your
concerned.
Miggs Breyer test right there. Your
Yeah.
Briggs Meyer test. You want to eat people.
Psychopath.
You
Yeah,
don't need initials. You're just
Back
like,
to
I just
that.
want to eat people. It says it all.
yeah,
right there.
that's
the
pretty.
fact that there was a man who posted basically on the internet that he wanted to be eaten, and someone said, "Yep, fine, I'll do it." Well, it happened. That was a real thing.
Did it happen?
Yes, and they dined, and basically, this guy,
Oh God.
I think he like
This
took
got
a leg
too
off
real.
first and then ate it
Remember?
together, and then he killed this man and ate him. Fucking.
Remember we were talking about Hannibal and fictional cannibal.
Yeah. So I
That's why I
would
get
kill
really messed up,
Cassian
Mom.
Andor.
What?
What did you just say?
Yeah, I would. I didn't feel like he was a super fleshed out character. In the
Well, he's been in this fight since he was 6 years old.
Yeah. I love.
like it's really cute.
I love Diego
that was
Luna.
really
I love
judgmental.
Diego. So I'm
That's
probably
great
the only
characters.
one in the room that did not super love Rogue One.
That's okay.
So that he, some of the character stuff didn't work for me. So I would pick him.
But
I would.
but here's the thing though, if you were to marry or boink him, you could sit down and have a conversation with him, and then he could fill
Yeah,
in all
but
the
I
blanks, and he'd be
really
like,
love Mads Mikkelsen and Ben Mendelsohn.
wow.
So,
Hey.
yeah.
Well,
They're
Orson
Maybe I
Krennic
could
will
just
have
bonk
you
him on the
killed or
head
something.
and leave him somewhere. Because
Yeah,
he's
not actually
murdered a
kill
bunch
them.
of people.
That's true.
Cassian?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
but
got some
wait,
baggage. Like, you
but
wouldn't
what
want to
has
marry
Orson
that.
Krennic done? He shot a lady.
Well, he's more manipulative, I feel like. I feel like he lets other
But
people,
Ben
for the most part, do
Mendelsohn.
the dirty work, which is not much
Man.
better.
Hector, because I think we've
had a
all
cape.
read Beyond. I'm curious. Yeah,
Yeah.
the cape was
Cape.
really great.
Oh my
Why
gosh.
did you sleep with that person? They had a cape.
That's the correct answer to almost anything. Why
It's
did
true.
you? They
That's
had
the
a
only
cape.
way Superman ever got laid, is because he's just like, look at my cape.
He switched.
He swished.
Yes.
What was your question? I think Night Swan is Thrawn.
Okay.
No, that doesn't make any
100%.
sense.
It makes perfect sense.
How?
Because the first
What's
time
his
Night
end
Swan,
game?
because the first time he appeared in the book, it was Thrawn who found him, and was like, "This guy's challenging me."
I don't think.
It's,
no.
it's a Kaiser
Kaiser
Soze.
Soze.
It's a Kaiser Soze scenario. Because what Night Swan's doing is setting up all of this doomium or whatever, and Thrawn knows about it too, and he's doing it remotely and setting up criminal cartels against each other and buying stuff up and selling it and doing all this complicated stuff that at the end, Night Swan's going to be the thing that's going to allow him to do whatever he wants to do. He's going to go to the Empire and go, look at this Night Swan person, look what they're doing. I have to stop them. You have to promote me. You have to let me do what I want to do.
I'll tell you
and
why
then
it's
boom, he's going to be like,
not.
I've been Night Swan this whole time.
Oh,
That's
no,
my
we've got
theory.
I like that
I
theory.
wasn't be meddling kids. I'll tell you why it's not. Because this whole book is establishing the fact that Thrawn is honestly, like, devoid of emotion, and you can barely tell what's being registered. You see the cracks form when he talks about
Yes.
Night Swan.
Oh, yeah,
He
he's
feels like this
pissed.
person has
Yeah,
a
he has
vendetta
like a
against
perce-
him.
exactly.
This person is fooling him. He's met his
His he's not used to
his
being on somebody
Moriarty.
his level. Like he's
Moriarty for sure.
Yes.
Sherlock.
And
Yeah,
he
it's like
is
getting
the
tortured.
Sherlock of. I mean.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the Moriarty, absolutely, and he just can't believe that when he's 9 steps ahead of everything, that someone could even be 1 step ahead of him, and it's just
So then
Yeah.
that proves that he is Night Swan, because nobody could be 1 step ahead of him.
But he's having such an emotion. I agree with you.
But you're
He's having
admitting that
such
he's
a-
9 steps ahead of everybody. Why wouldn't he be 9 steps ahead of the reader? Why wouldn't he be 9 steps ahead of us? You think? Are we so arrogant as to think we know how Thrawn thinks? No. He's way smarter than us, and he's putting on a show. He's pulling over a fast one on all of us, and he knows, and he's observed enough of human
So
behavior.
I've read a chapter ahead.
Okay,
I've read
so
the
I'm
whole
wrong.
book. So
My theory's still cool.
I like your theory.
My theory's still cool. Whatever,
it's
fine.
wrong, but
Guys,
I like it.
I had something happen to me because of this book.
Okay.
Because of thinking like Thrawn has influenced me. This happened earlier this morning. My girlfriend called me, essentially to vent about some stuff that was going on at her work, and I went into Thrawn mode, and I was like, "You have to send some emails and sabotage some people, and do this and do that, and Game of Thrones this, and just do this." And she was like, "No." She's like, "I don't think so." I'm like, "No, this is the way it has to be. You have to. This is how we solve this problem." And then after a little bit, I was like, I'm sorry, I think I'm just reading this book. It was like in between me reading chapters. I was like, I think this is just influencing me too much, and you probably just called to vent, and it's just like regular stuff, and it's no big deal. But I
here's
saw,
the 10-step
I saw
plan.
like,
That
I saw a
started.
problem in front of me, and I'm like, here's how we're gonna solve it. And she was like, what are you talking about?
I would have to agree with you. There was a part there where Arinda comes to Thrawn, and she's like, "I've got a problem," and he goes, "What's your weapon?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"I understand."
I think it was right after I read that chapter, Mom.
Oh my god, it was.
I was telling my
so
girlfriend, what's your
amazing.
weapon?
Yeah.
What do we have on these people? And she's
What do
like,
you-
what?
Yeah, I mean, I could punch someone, I guess. It's like,
Yeah.
no. Yeah, and like the way that he broke that down for me was like something that I, again, had never thought about, but it made tactical sense.
Yeah.
Where it's like, your enemy is there. What is your weapon? You find either something that you can combat directly, or you involve a third party
Something
that also has a
somebody
problem.
that they fear or
That
hate.
you don't even have to
Right.
do.
Fear
You're
or
behind them, which
Mm-hmm.
he does a
No,
lot.
you pit them against each other.
Yeah,
And he goes, you either become friends with them, or you make them realize that they fear and hate each other, and you collect the collateral
Yeah,
damage
exactly.
from whatever.
That's so smart.
Isn't that clever?
That's so smart.
But he does it for good as well when there's a scene with the commander, the
Yeah.
sort of older commander who
He's not all the
is
way
on
evil.
his yeah, which
Thrawn is not all the way
that's
evil.
sort of
No, I don't. I think he just
He
makes
gets
decisions. I don't think he
swept.
necessarily has like an alignment that he's
True.
skews towards.
yeah, and he he protects the
Other than the
commander
Empire, which is
Chino or
terrible.
Chano.
Yeah. fell on his sword.
Yeah, but he before that when he kind of took control because the commander had no idea what he was doing.
But he was completely out of his depth.
But he did it in such a way that he wouldn't tarnish his reputation so that he could take credit for it, even though that didn't work out for him. He's learning, I think, and having Eli with him is sort of his way of connecting with people and learning that. But I'm confused about where this is going to end, because the Thrawn that I know in the later books, and I haven't read them in a long time, but was just such a bad guy, such a bad guy. And in this one, I'm like, but
He's
I really
got
like
a little bit of
Thrawn.
compassion.
Well, and then, but when you see him in Rebels, I'm like, no, like he's made I do think by Rebels, I don't know if evil's the word I would use, but he's definitely, it's like,
Made his
like
decision.
you are
Sociopathic.
fully, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're committed
So-
to this and it's bad news.
This takes place before Rebels, so something could still happen at the end of this to do that. Could it be that somebody kills Eli?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I
front
want
of
to talk
him?
about the fact that the whole start of this book, the whole reason why he wanted to get time with the Emperor was to protect the Chiss.
Right.
You know, he
Whatever's
was like,
happening.
I have been completely exiled, but that does not stop me from wanting to protect my
They're
people.
my people.
I have not heard about his people
I know.
for the
In a
last
long,
15 chapters.
yeah, it's like, did you
Yeah.
think
Amy,
that?
do
What
we get
is
any
his
of
goal?
it?
Was he using that as
That's
a
why I
ploy?
think
Me,
I
I
think that's
don't
why I think
know. I
he's
have a
one.
terrible poker face. I'm like, look.
I know. I mean,
We're getting glimpses of
Don't look at
how
the end.
he,
Oh,
he
okay,
fell in
fine.
line with Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars, and that he, figured out who Anakin was, and that the Emperor knew Anakin quite well, and it's like almost like he idolized Anakin in a way. He's like, I know this person, I know the weight that it bestows when I say his name to particular people. I want to know more about that.
Do you think he knows? So I can't figure out if he knows he's Vader.
Yeah.
From the excerpt, I thought, I'm like, oh, he totally knows. But then I was like,
Oh.
Nothing gets by our boy Thrawn,
I think he knows, and
I mean,
that's why.
it's fucking Thrawn. He probably knows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he knows,
to
but
say
I
to the
loved
Emperor?
that scene that how they play it's early on in the book, but how he plays that against him, and I feel like there's an unspoken thing, and that's part of why the Emperor sort of picks up on him, is like, oh, something is happening here that other people haven't noticed,
I don't know if we've got time to do a reading, but I want to read.
5 minutes.
Okay, I want to do the reading about Arinda. We always know her motives. We know what she's about. She hasn't got many friends. The friends that she does have are loyal to her. She couldn't go through. She couldn't be where she is without them. We were just talking about the fact
She's
that
got a dorky haircut.
she's got a bad haircut. But we were talking about how
It's very easy for maintenance.
that is true.
Yeah, short hair
Oh,
is
that's
really
accurate
easy
enough.
for.
Oh, it's just like it cuts into the cheeks, doesn't it? There
Beautiful
she
eyes.
is.
It gives
There
her
we go.
some good cheekbones.
She's
though.
got resting
Yeah, she's got
bitch
tarpon
face.
cheekbones
Yeah.
for sure.
That is a resting bitch face right there. But the fact that she gets, the malfunctioning, I want to call it the elevator almost, that takes it down to the scum and villainy side of Coruscant. And her friend Juahir?
Sure.
Sounds
Do I
good.
hear?
Yeah.
Sure. I've been saying all the names wrong. so
Oh,
it's
all of
okay.
them. I skim
Yeah.
over them completely now. Basically saved her life.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
went in all alias style and went whick plonk, got rid of these guys, scared them off. Thank you.
you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, how the hell did this happen? Saved her life, and then this is how she repays him. So she drops by the dojo, basically, and
What
was
page
saying,
is this?
This is page, I don't know if you guys want to help me out. Page, this is 407, but I'm in the,
Oh, that's
It's going to
different.
be like, oh, wait, here.
It's,
We're getting close.
so it's the end of, there's 9 chapters left, 9 pages left of the chapter.
Oh, here, like 276.
And it starts off
On
just
mine.
talking about, you
Yep.
know,
Continue.
making small talk basically. I'm just between jobs. She stops by work. How's everything going? Yeah, small talk, small talk. Oh, I heard the driller actually, you got to see Tarkin. Congratulations. Thank you, says Arinda. Not much happened today, so I thought I'd just drop by here. Great, said Juahir. So, are we doing a workout or lunch? Neither, Arinda said. We're making an arrest. Who? You. She watched Juahir's mouth drop open as Colonel Yularin and his agents filed silently into the dojo behind her. Arinda, what are you doing? Juahir asked carefully. We're arresting a traitor, Arinda said. A woman who's been using her training position to suborn or blackmail high-level bodyguards and send them off to spy on their bosses. She raised her eyebrows. And occasionally try to murder them. What? Juahir breathed, her eyes widening, her skin going ashen. Senator Everdorn's bodyguard, Kaneki, Yularan. There's so many shit names in
I
here.
know, it's
God
super
damn.
Star Wars names.
Kaneki.
Kaneki!
From Greece.
At least there's not an apostrophe.
Kaneki!
From Greece.
This guy tried to kill the senator in the morning. Apparently, your indoctrination of the evils of the Empire was a little too effective. We never told them to kill anyone, Jawahi protested. They were supposed to get information for... She broke off, throwing a sudden look of understanding at Arinda.
Oh.
That's right, Arinda confirmed. I'm the one who pulled the data Driller and High Skies have been collecting and handed it over to ISB. Driller and everyone else connected to the group are being picked up right now. But given the Kaneki incident, Colonel Yularan decided that he wanted to arrest you personally. And this goes on, and you just see her instant betrayal. She feels nothing.
Yeah.
Jawahi, whatever her name is like begging for her friend and to connect on this personal level.
Mm-hmm.
And Arinda is just like, nope, everything you've done, you've betrayed me. I'm the victim here. You deserve everything you're getting. And
She does it with her family too when she becomes a governor. She, it's just she does it at the beginning of the book too. And I think she feels these things. You see when Tarkin is trying to persuade her to do this, which happens very quickly, but she's like, "Oh, my colleagues, you mean my only two friends in the whole world who have helped me?"
Done.
But
She's using her.
That's a good point. This is Coruscant. This is
Yeah.
Coruscant, and everybody
They were
uses
keeping
everybody.
her in the dark.
And the Empire is bad, you guys.
I mean, not that. I mean, Arinda's probably a little harsh.
I really like her, but I feel I mean, even though she is
A lot of
badass, yeah.
I
But
kind of
I
respect how
I-
vindictive she gets.
yeah, I
Says
mean,
about me, but I'm like,
I
yeah.
can't say that if I were in that position. Again, there's no right answer, right?
Right.
You either succeed or you don't. You figure out how to get there. That's
This-
the world that they live in. But this is cold
Yeah,
shit.
and this whole exchange ends in
true.
her saying, and this is when I was just like, I don't like you as a character anymore. I'm on the road to power now, Arinda interrupted. If I achieve my goals, I should be able to pull enough strings to get you out in a few years. If not, she shrugged. And I was just like, and then straight after this
pretty evil.
altercation,
It's great.
Yularan asks Arinda for advice on how to handle the situation. And Arinda's like, oh my God, he's asking me. Of course he's asking me. Oh, and she just gets drunk on power. And then the fact that Jawahi has been writing 20 letters
right.
that
I
year.
know.
And she's like, I don't want to read them. Nope, keep.
I feel like I read that scene as that she can't read them because she's on a path.
Yeah.
And if she reads
that it would
them,
remind
she's
her-
going,
Distracts
yes.
her
It would remind her of her humanity.
Yes.
And it might throw
That's the
her off
choice
her
that
game.
I
She
feel
decided
like
to
that's
keep
the
them for
choice
one
she
day.
made.
She's like, don't delete them. Like, I'll read them eventually.
When I'm ready, but she's not because she hasn't like hardened herself against this because that's what she thinks she has to do to make it.
I don't like it. I don't like that. But what I do really appreciate is the meeting that she had with Thrawn. Where I'm not Thrawn. Well, Thrawn was actually one thing, but the meeting with Tarkin.
Yeah,
Where
let's talk about
yes,
that.
she
laid
just
down
read
her
him and
demands.
just,
Yeah.
This is what I want. This is what you will do. And he's trying to power play her as
And
well.
it's Tarkin. Like, we know Tarkin
Yeah.
is like a badass.
Yeah.
And he is very
I
calculating.
love the
and
way they describe the
smart.
office. It's like a power play that to walk to his
Yeah.
desk out of the
Yeah.
out of the door, and the carpet is even trying to trip you up.
My favorite part of that was Arinda. Again, I think she also inspired me in trying to like Game of Thrones, like people that are at my girlfriend's work when I have no business doing that right now.
Super scary.
But my favorite moment, my favorite exchange is Arinda being so prepared, very much like Thrawn, with a sort of like witty
steps ahead.
witticism when she says, "That's certainly what they think." Arinda agreed. "Actually, I'm here to represent myself and to make you the best offer you'll get today." His expression didn't change, but his eyes seemed to grow colder. "Really?" he said. "I think perhaps you overestimate your charm." "Oh, I don't run on charm, Governor," Arinda assured him. "I run on information." She slipped a data card out of her pouch and set it on the desk. "Here's a sample, and I'll be happy to wait while you look it over." Like that little "oh, I don't run on charm. I'm going to bounce it right back at you. This is what I run.
Boom!
I run on
Done.
information." I thought that
He
was
goes,
great.
okay, well, I'll have the rest of it then. She's like, nope, you can have half of it.
And he
like,
was
she's
like,
planned
she
out
and
the
he was
entire
like,
thing.
"Very well. You're going to do very well here."
Yeah.
Is what he said.
And then boom, she's governor. So there you go. Homework for this week though, you got to finish this book. So close. Get that last page happening on your eyes. Send us recommendations, of course, for next month as well, because we need another book to read. So make sure you hit us up either on the tweets. You can contact us individually. You can contact Join Team Alpha. But yeah, we need another book, guys.
And if you guys have been liking our discussion so far, we just read Marvel Star Wars Volume 1, Skywalker Strikes, over on Alpha Comic Book Club. And that show is on Mondays at 6:15 p.m. PDT. Right here, we're reading Kelly Sue DeConnick's Bitch Planet, which is an awesome comic book for next Monday. So come and hang out.
And I believe this is a longer month as well, so we will need something to read in the last
What are we
month,
gonna do?
the last week of this month.
A
So we're
short
gonna finish
story?
Thrawn.
A comic book? What are
I'm
we going
keen
to
to
do?
do another graphic novel or a comic.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I think a comic's great. I can't believe I'm saying this, but there you go.
Oh my
Validate
gosh,
me.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What about short stories, though?
Short stories are cool.
What about short stories?
Short
They're
stories
really
are cool.
short. Cool. And thank you so much for joining us, Amy.
Amy.
Thank you for having me.
Really
Thanks for coming.
appreciate having like
So
another scope
fun.
on Star Wars too. Where can people find you if they want to continue this discussion?
They can find my writing on Nerdist.com and StarWars.com, and you can hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Amy_geek.
Also, I would just like to shout out and say that if you go back in the history of Nerdist, Amy had a really awesome column that was a book club, and we did a couple of really awesome books, Dune and everything. So you guys should
Yeah.
go back and check that
That's
out.
fun.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
super, super fun.
Do they still exist on the internet somewhere?
Oh,
do
they're
on
on
Nerdist.
Nerdist.com,
Good,
man.
good.
And we'd love to have you back because bookworms, man.
Books are neat, guys.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
Pretty
Yeah,
neat.
books are pretty cool.
You're new to this.
Cool. Yeah, I am new to this.
You like those books?
I've never read Harry Potter. It's cool. It's crazy. You imagine so much in your head when you look at pieces of wood. It's crazy. That's what books are.
Wow. Yes, that's where paper comes from.
Mm-hmm.
That's an epiphany. We are also on Goodreads as well. Just search Alpha Book Club at goodreads.com. Discuss books with us there as well. Also, if you want to join us on the show, you can do it via Skype. Just let Courtney know on Twitter at JoinTeamAlpha. She's going to help you move that process forward. We would love to actually have FaceTime with you, chat with you, have a glass of wine, and talk books as well. So there's recommendations one more time at Nerdist, at Geek and Sundry, or at Join Team Alpha with the hashtag Alpha Book Club. Stick around for Choose Your Destiny, and then afterwards it's the finale of Crafting Comics with Jim Higgins. I could have done like an alliteration on that and really said a word that would have gotten us into trouble. Crafting Comics with Jim Higgins. Don't forget to watch that one. Don't forget. Just don't go anywhere. Bye guys, that's us. We're done.
Bye.
Has anyone said the C-bomb on this show before?